Hey everybody, welcome to Sunday Sessions. Hi Courtney.
Hello, Heidi.
All right, welcome, and we've got a few things we want to talk about first before we dive into the next story. So I guess first, Courtney showed me this light.
Wow.
Isn't this amazing, guys? A gentleman made this using one of his prints.
One of the like cardboard prints, they're heavy paper prints. They're really high quality, like museum paper prints. And this is he has interestingly created this geometry of folding. I think the whole thing could collapse down like a concertina. If it's quite extraordinary. If you angle it, you can see the
different ridges and
can
stuff
see
like that.
you can see the way that geometry is constructed. I mean, it's absolutely, he did, what a great job he did. And even the back where the two ends come together is, look at beautiful symmetry. And
it's a light.
And it's a light. It's a light. And it changes color.
Changes color.
It goes, from clear light to red light to blue light, green light. Ooh.
It's amazing.
Beautiful job. Absolutely
Love it.
Beautiful job. And very clever.
Yes.
Right? And, all right.
Yeah. And then just this week, you did some filming with a group from
Rumpel, the company Rumpel, and they do a really good quality product, and they have bought this design, and they've done a few others. This is the latest one. It's got my signature right there. It's a design by Courtenay Pollock, on Rumpel, which was very generous of them to, put it up front and center like that. And it's a beautiful, comfy, quilted blanket for camping, or they're water repellent. And
so for like the
but
beach.
it's also you can wear it like a shawl, and it's got a clip so you can just walk around. I felt like Mick Jagger out on the deck. I was cavorting around, billowing this thing out. It's like all cozy because it's chilly out there. And a really great product. And the sweet young couple came up, and did the interview. He had questions and all this equipment, to get all these camera shots and film and all this stuff. But they were delightful, and it was a long day, but we got that done, and they gifted me this,
So if you haven't heard about them, definitely check them out.
Yeah.
And the backdrop behind us was one of the things that you did with that couple.
Oh yes, I needed to demonstrate the rinsing, because I demonstrated the folding and the dyeing of my process, and so I wanted to have a big, full-size piece prepared and ready to rinse, which I did, and while they filmed, I rinsed this as the culmination of the folding, and then the dipping, which I did with another piece, of course, and then opened that one, and
It's pretty
there
spectacular.
it is. It came out really well. I am really happy with it. It's called the Firmament. You can look it up for yourself. The Firmament.
Excellent. All right. Awesome, Courtney. So we're going to carry on now with your next installment from Coming to Powell River.
Right.
Yes.
Here we are.
Enjoy, guys. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, Heidi. Right. I'm not sure where I got to quite with coming up, how I found it. I talked about coming into Vancouver and checking out the Fraser Valley and Vancouver Island, and then coming up the Sunshine Coast and coming into Sleepy Powell River, and talking about the fact that it was a mill town, and you know, it was a successful paper producer for a century, basically. And sadly, they're in the last days of closing it right now. It's like the end of a real era, you know, not an era, an era. And so, you know, some, you know, wonderful, hardy people of Powell River are out of, you know, a job. You know, typically it's been a career for 3 or 4 or more generations of local people. And, you know, one time, I don't know how many there were. I've heard everything from 2,500 to 4,500 employees at the mill. The people that owned the mill, that built the mill, Macmillan, and of course the Bodell, they were the people that did the transportation, but Macmillan actually built the mills and, you know, the whole timber works and everything. I subsequently actually got to meet the guy that's like the great-grandson of him. He's a great friend now. So I got a lot of inside information from those days. But, you know, this is days of empire. This guy was like, you know, he's a William Randolph Hearst of Canada, you know, immense acreages across Canada of timberland, you know. In the case of William Randolph Hearst down in the States, you know, he had, you know, forests and forests of timber that went into his newspaper business, and you know, castles and mansions, you know, a baron, probably not a very nice guy, but anyway, you know, he was successful, and anyway, this guy Macmillan, you know, did all this stuff. And produced a wonderful livelihood for the denizens of Powell River. They actually built the town around the mill. There's an area of Powell River called Townsite, and there are all the houses built right around the mill. You know, inland. The mill's right on the ocean or on the waterfront there. It's ocean, but it's baffled by all these islands, you know, and then in the distance is Vancouver Island, so it's, you know, but it's still tidal, and it's, you know, it's gorgeous place. Anyway, so originally they built these beautifully constructed little homes. Now the ones near the mill and on the waterfront were more the executive homes. And there's a kind of a style, I think it's some kind of Dutch Tudor or something, you know, that. But they always made, the timbers are made, you know, they're heartwood, they last for centuries. They're really well made homes. And they all had a cellar, you know, as things did back in earlier days, you know, for food storage and all kinds of things, and of course the furnace and the workings of the house in later days. And I came to Powell River. I came up the Sunshine Coast. I explored Vancouver Island and, you know, the Fraser Valley, Vancouver, and eventually came up the Sunshine Coast and came into Powell River. And it just got better and better as I went from one ferry to the next, and then came up, and it was like this little sleepy town. It was pretty run down back then. The mill had been reducing, you know, their services, you know, and parts of it had been closing down, so that they didn't have as many people employed there, and it was kind of a depressed time, really. This was around 2004, and I think it was 2008 that we had that turn back, that not a depression, a recession, you know, through, you know, wretched bankers and all those other bankers that you know, set up a, you know, oh, it's time to harvest in all that money from all of these, people that had invested in our system, and now we're just going to take all their money and reduce everything. Don't get me started. I got me started, sorry. Anyway, so it was depressed times, and I came into Powell River, and I got a night at a motel. It was about 5:15 when I actually pulled into town. I went, oh, a lovely sleepy town, reminiscent of the little hamlets down in Marin County where I first came across country and met up with the band and the little communities that evolved and developed around those little towns and townships there were real neighborhoods and real communities where people knew each other and helped each other, and this town was kind of like that, a lot bigger than those hamlets I'm talking about, but still a small town and really cut off from the rest of the world because it takes 2 ferries to get here. It's 80 miles from Vancouver, which a plane can fly, and we have a little airport. There are flights that come in. It takes 25 minutes to fly in here, and but if you come by ferry, it can take 7 hours. If you don't, if the ferry's not full, 2 ferries waiting between, and the drive up and everything. It's like we're not, Now we're part of the mainland. Powell River is actually part of the mainland, but there's this coastal mountain range that there's no way through it. Whistler's only, it's probably 150 miles, up over the mountains. And Whistler's a big ski resort, and it's really popular and, doing very well, thank you. Anyway, and Vancouver, the city of Vancouver is only, 25 minutes away by plane, by a small commuter plane, but to come up on the road, it's 5 hours is about the quickest I've done it in with the right connections, and probably, it's more like 6 or 7, So we're cut off. It's like, but we are part of the mainland,
They talked about a road.
They're still talking about a road, across the mountains, and there is, if you have a big, 4-wheel that really, and you really know how to be off-road, and if you really know the roads, which some people do,
walkie-talkie.
And a walkie-talkie, you can get across the mountain range. But building a road into Powell River, well, there's got to be gold at the end of that rainbow. It's like, that's a really expensive proposition, but it'll probably come, because just above Powell River is the Desolation Sound, and this, gorgeous network of fjords and essentially islands that are caused by the fjords, and a lot of it private, and some of the most moneyed and people in the world have bought up in the Desolation Sound because it's an absolutely isolated paradise, with fish and game and forest and pure water, and it's gorgeous. It really is gorgeous. And so, I feel so blessed to be here in Little Powell River. So my first night in town, I put into this little, convenience store right there on Marine Avenue, right on the ocean front. And I get the local newspaper, and I find this place that happens to be right across from the convenience store up on this, hill on Burnaby. And anyway, I meet up with the guy in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. We make an appointment, and shows me, and it's a duplex, but it's nice. It's 2-bedroom, bathroom, washer, dryer. It's nice. It's got a garden. It's got all kinds, and ocean view, and it's like a few minutes down to the waterfront trails, and it's right local in town. Anyway, I said, well, this is very nice. How much is it going to be? And he said, well, I was going to charge $600, but it's just you as a professional gentleman. how about $450 a month? And I was like, yes, thank you. That'd be good. He said, well, when's your furniture coming? I said, well, I have my car, and I have a suitcase of clothes and me, and this is it. He said, oh, well, I'm doing a garage sale. Do you want to check it out? And I said, yes. So we go up to his garage sale, and he has everything I need to furnish that house from top to bottom, including stuff for the bedding, kitchenware, utensils, linens, pots and pans, everything. There isn't anything that he doesn't have. And I said, well, okay, how much? $100. I was like, I'm going to move into this house, $450 a month plus $100 for everything to furnish it from top to bottom, including everything I need to live. I was like, yeah, this is good. And he said, what do you do for a living? And I was like, I'm a writer. And he said, oh, I'd love to have a writer, renting one of my houses, What do you write about? I said, well, life, anything, He said, wow, an author. I said, well, I'm actually not published yet. I said, but I can write, I went to school. So I started off, really easily I had really limited funds at that time. And I quickly discovered that this area was like a growing mecca for art. Yeah, I was like, I know about that. And it was a gray area, it was a big gray area, and they were still, they were years away from it becoming legal, but they were working on it. I can't believe it took them so long to figure out how to make it work for them, but it was certainly working for all these people that were in the industry. And it was wasn't legal, but it wasn't illegal so much. It's like nobody gets caught. It's only if there's a complaint, and they go and, check it out, and they, okay, this is a grunge pit. We don't want, these people doing that. And they'll take your light bulbs, it's like, but there wasn't really prosecution behind it unless somebody's doing something really outrageous. But, it was people that were doing some pretty, good, high quality stuff. And some of it, pretty big shows. But, with my past experience, they were way beyond where I got to. They'd advanced the technology of growing, so much since I'd been in the game. And it was pretty wonderful and great product. Oh my gosh. But I was still, useful in terms of, I had ideas, and certainly automation ideas and environment. And I kind of got by for a little bit helping out and stuff, and it wasn't exactly illegal or anything. I'm just working for some people that are, taking a slight risk being on the edge of legality, but there was no prosecution. There was no, we knew it was coming, the legal part of it, and meanwhile it was good to keep the industry up because, at that time, of course, there was a lot of flow down to the United States at big prices. Before the United States, really brought their standards up. Of course, I wasn't down there at the time, otherwise, anyway. So that's how it started off, and I started off, of course, to reignite my dye works and get that going, because that's that's what I do best. And so things were kind of moving along. I was getting by, and I sold to some locals with my tie-dye work, and then I got my first computer because I wanted to have GarageBand. I wanted to be able to record. I sing, and so I wanted to just have MIDIs, I'd take the MIDIs and I'd make them all acoustic sounding. And then I would, do vocals and then do harmonies and stuff like that, and just have fun with it. And but along the way, having the computer, I was online, Now this is 17, 18 years ago, but you know, by the time I and I had joined the local choirs. I started with the Powell River Chorus and then the men's choir, and then I joined the award-winning chamber choir, and at the Powell River Academy of Music, which actually Powell River had become. It was a. It was it is what are they? It's through its music, and they host a big worldwide choir symposium, and have also the Symphony Orchestra of the Pacific, and they host all this stuff. So it's a cultural capital of Canada. It's not the only one, there are others, but it was a great honor. And so, you know, it's got a lot of music and a lot of entertainment, a lot of creativity, a lot of artistry, a lot of theater, and artists generally. So it's a very creative space. And so I had joined all of the choirs, and I had joined the paddle club, which is, you know, the Outrigger Paddle Club, and she's still yawning. And so I started paddling. I was doing yoga. I was teaching yoga to my friends and neighbors, because it was a way to get in really good sessions each morning for me. And running, doing, you know, against the clock. I do a 10K every morning, and I do a mile in the pool, just, you know, swimming laps. And then I started with the paddle club, and I started bicycling. I was doing triathlons, and developing my tie-dye online. And then I get a communique from Rhonda, from, you know, the lady that I was with when I got busted, and she, of course, you know, had to go through some, you know, stuff herself, even though I tried to claim it all for myself. You know, the fact that she was involved, you know, she had to do, you know, some stuff. And so, you know, it was my responsibility ultimately, and regardless of, you know, where all the money went and stuff, I just like, well, starting over. And so she contacted me. Oh, you're online. You're right across the border. Where have you? You know, I was like, well, you know, we were forbidden to ever see each other again, ever, and they separated us, and they made it clear that, you know, it would be illegal for us to hook back up, because we were the instrument of organized crime.
Wow.
Yeah, seriously. So anyway, so I'm back in touch with Rhonda, who's now, you know, called Jewel. Like Jewel, like the diamonds and, you know, sapphire, not like whatever the other jewel is. What would that be? Anyway. So anyway, so, you know, we arranged for her to come up. I had found a beautiful heritage home on the waterfront in town site, one of the original houses built by the mill. Beautiful, 5-bedroom home, ocean view, gorgeous, you know, wainscot paneling halfway up the walls, and, you know, it was really old school and beautiful. It was a very beautifully planted private garden. I could just like wander out, you know, into the gardens, and I wasn't overlooked at all. I could go out, you know, in the summer, I can go out naked and, you know, suntan and do my gardening and stuff, you know, which is a very free feeling, to have that kind of privacy, and a wonderful place. By the time Jewel contacted me and we decided, you know, arranged for her to come up, the owners of that property, who hadn't lived there yet, they'd bought it on spec and they weren't ready to retire. But by the time Jewel was scheduled to come up, they had figured that they could, you know, have their retirement there. So I needed a new place, and a friend from Remax in town, Chris Carlos, he phoned me up right at the last minute. Literally, I was going to sign on something else, and he phoned me up and showed me this beautiful home here on the water, just south of town. Gorgeous place on 2 acres, right on the water. You know, it was like 3,000 square foot or something, and 4-car garage. And I'm like, yes. So when Jewel came, I had this, you know, fantastic place, which is kind of the places that we had back in the early days. You know, the style to which we had become accustomed. Anyway, so you know, Jewel's back, you know, and she had spent, you know, those years developing her online abilities, and so you know, of course, I'm managing to keep us all in quite a good style, and her contribution was to put my business online. And so she got my business online, and we started promoting and selling, and we both worked on it for about 3 months. You know, and back then it was like, you need 30 pages, you need all these word sequences, you know, this search engine optimization with all these keywords and all this stuff. And we actually did it, and we were quite successful with it. The trouble was that it was built for nuts and bolts and 2x4s, you know. It was like a big, cumbersome, slow, it wasn't really built for artists with one-of-a-kind items, but we made it work. It was much more work entering each item, because typically, you know, 10,000 nuts and bolts, you know, 10,000 3/8" whatever, you know, and then when they run out, they get, you know, not that at all. So it was a bit cumbersome, but it worked. And we, you know, social media is being developed. This is back in, you know, 2010 or something, 2008. And so she was really, between us, we worked, but she was instrumental in putting that together, which has actually made my fortune. Well, I haven't had a fortune yet. I lost my fortune, and now I'm working on another one. Which is my artwork. Things are going well. It's still, the business is still building. And so she came and stayed for, you know, quite a long period, and we put that together. And then she went back down to the States to develop her own business, which eventually she did, and is successful at it. And and then she would come back and visit, you know, from time to time. But now her business is going so strongly, and now she's also breeding toy Australian Shepherds, and they were cute as hell. And so she's, you know, she's down there for the long haul. I don't think she'll ever be able to break away and come up here again, and I can't go down there. But nevertheless, you know, I have to give her credit for being really instrumental in the success of my artwork online, and I do thank her heartfully for that. And we're still, of course, the greatest friends. So, Powell River's wonderful. The paddle club. Oh my gosh, my first time out in the paddle club on a 6-man outrigger, and we're going out towards this island. And I'm telling them the story. I've just met all these 5 other people on the 6-man boat for the first time, and I'm telling this story about how the whale saved my life off the islands of Hawaii when we come across a basking whale, and it was like so cosmic, right? And they were like, "Okay, I think you're on the team now." and then we tracked alongside this whale all the way back up to harbor in Powell River. It was like an extraordinary thing. This humpback whale right there, you know. Cool. You could reach out and touch it. Such an extraordinary, amazing adventure. And of course, you know, with the running and the bicycling and the swimming laps and the paddling and the yoga every morning, and oh my God, I was in such great shape. And then COVID. No, I jumped ahead. But anyway.
Really ahead.
I jumped way ahead. But anyway, you get the point. So we're up at 8:30 minutes.
All right.
Mwah. Thank you.
Excellent. Right on. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, Heidi.
That was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And yeah, I guess we're gonna see what the next episode will be about, because
Right.
we're here in Powell River now, and
things
we're
are still
just
progressing.
kinda humming along, and I'm sure you'll remember some other things that happened throughout your years, and we'll just talk about those. So thanks
Thank
for
you.
tuning in, guys. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, Heidi.
Bye.